All right, what's up, YouTube? I got Zach here. We're going to do a deck tech for his wolf deck, Selesnya colors. So this is Zach's first time being face-to-face with the camera, so he's a little nervous, I think.
Shaking in my boots.
I'm going to pull up the deck list. I got my computer here, that's why I'm not looking at the camera. So we got the deck list here, and we're going to go through. We'll give you just a second to look at the deck list and copy it down, pause the video, yada, yada, yada. All right, so we're going to go through the cards in the list. First, we've got 3 Arlen's Wolves. Why are you playing this card?
Well, it's actually odd because initially when I first built the deck, it was like, all right, just type in wolf.
I could probably put this here.
Right. I was like, well, type in wolf.
There.
Put
now
any...
you can actually see what we're talking about.
Right. Put any wolf in the deck. Any
wolf.
But then as I was reading it, it actually kind of makes sense because it's a 3/2. And later you'll see in the deck that we have Rabid Bites, and that helps kill a lot of things.
Okay, so the power is relevant.
Right, but then also its ability. It's not just a vanilla wolf. It also can't be blocked by small creatures. So early game, it's pretty relevant. And
we're running 3 just for the curve, I assume.
Yeah, there was a couple cards at first that we just cut one of some cards just to throw them in because they were more powerful, but yeah.
Okay, and then we got 3 Ferocious Pups.
Yeah.
Wood Ferocious Pup again. My favorite comment of last week.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 with Ferocious Pup again.
Yeah, it was great.
So obviously here you're making 2 bodies for the price of 1 body.
Yeah. And at first, on turn 3, it's not great. It provides a blocker. Sure. But once you start having the Anthem effects and Tolsimir.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers. It's such a good card.
All right, then we got 4 Llanowar. I use the beta.
That's fine.
So the corners don't look right on the screen because whatever. I had to use the beta.
That's fine.
So Mana Dorks, obviously. You want to play them on turn 1.
Right.
And then we have, this is actually my favorite card from Core Set because I like to play on my opponent's turn. So we got 4 Night Pack Ambushers. Do you want to talk about how good this card is?
Do I need to? Good. This card
it's incredibly good.
It's so good. Look at its base stats. It's a 4/4 for 4. That's already decent stats. Usually you'll see maybe a 3/3 for 4 if it has text.
It has text, yeah.
But this is a 4/4 for 4, so it's already a good body. But then you have Flash, like Matt was saying, and that's amazing. But then, on top of that, you have the Anthem effect. And then on top of that, you can make wolves.
You make wolves when you don't play on your turn.
Which, again, with Tolsimir, is amazing.
And then the wolf comes in, and it's a 3/3 that fights when it enters the battlefield.
And, oh gosh, so good.
So, Zach is in love with this card. I
am.
Next card, for Paradise Druid. I guess I have to hold that up higher. So again, you want to ramp. This is going to ramp you on turn 2, and the hexproof protects it from being killed.
It's a guaranteed that you're going to get something...
that you can use the mana.
Right, because a lot of times you play against a deck that, of course, runs Shock.
Yep.
And your Llanowar Elf goes by, so this is a perfect card.
And I suppose a 2/1 can actually apply pressure if you need to.
Yeah, and I was talking to Garrison a little bit, and I know you heard the story about it, but...
this table is squeaking and it's bothering me.
When you have the Icon of Ancestries, which you'll see later, but
spoiler alert.
Right, once you have those out, and all you have are the Llanowar Elves or the Paradise Druids, it's like, okay, you can just use 1 to name elves.
Sure, yeah, and then all of a sudden you've got a 3/2 or a 2/2, and it's actually a clock. All right, so then we have 1 Shalai, Voice of Plenty. This is the only not wolf. Or I guess the Mana Dorks aren't wolves.
Well, and Tolsimir isn't either.
Okay, so never mind. It's not a wolf tribal deck.
Right. We don't have enough of those.
Yeah, that's true.
But Shalai is just great because she's flying, and our deck's weakness is kind of flying. And then also the fact that it protects our other wolves, but then also protects me. So it's really helpful versus the burn matchup. It's really helpful against...
I guess the Esper matchups... It probably has some application there.
Yeah, especially with the
Thought Erasure,
all that kind of stuff. But then, late game, it's just...
I need to replace this table. Stop touching it.
Okay, I won't touch it.
So it won't squeak anymore.
But late game, if you have just dead card draws, you just pump your creatures.
Yeah, and again, the 1/1 and the 2/1 now become an actual threat because they're a 2/2 or a 3/3 or a 4/4. Next card we got is 2 Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves. I actually really like this card, even if it's not in a tribal deck. It just makes 2 bodies and it gains you life and fights.
Yeah.
And there was an Innistrad wolf, one of the ones that transformed. I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember either.
Head. That was a really good card, and this kind of reminds me of that one.
Well, and the crazy thing that I've actually just started now realizing is that Ferocious Pup, even if you don't have the Anthem out, gains you 6 life. I mean, it's 3 for 6 life, and you get board presence.
Yeah.
So, it's a really good card. I've noticed that, like, especially tonight when we played, I didn't get very many Tulsamirs in my games, but...
You're only running 2.
Right.
So you can't expect to draw them all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's a 5 mana, you get, 6 power and 6 toughness, and 3 life, and potentially a removal spell out of it.
Right.
So it's a good value creature, and then with any bit of synergy, it gets even better.
Well, and with the elf naming on the Anthem.
Sure, yeah.
Also gets him back.
Yeah, this is an elf, so yep, it would be a 4/4 then. Alright, and then we've got 3 Rabid Bites. There's not a lot of removal in this deck. The 3 Rabid Bites they're functioning as your removal spells. Just fighting creatures.
Pretty much.
Don't really need to talk about. So Icon of Ancestry, we've got 4 of these. My initial thought was that 3 was the correct number,
right,
and 4 was too many. Why don't you explain that one?
So, my issue is that this card is such a big staple to the deck. With the Anthem effect, and yeah, I was considering only 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when I realized how important just like the 3, pay 3 and tap it ability, how valuable that is to the deck, I can't.
You had to run the 4th.
Right, I just can't miss up on the opportunity.
I guess it makes sense because they're not legendary or anything. So.
Right, you just keep stacking them.
Yeah. All right, so then we've got 2 Arlen, Voice of the Pack. I don't dislike this card, but I feel like it just doesn't scream power to me. So what's your thoughts on this card after playing with it?
So she doesn't scream power if it's just her. Mm-hmm. If she's just solely making the wolves, yeah, she's not great. But if you have her and then your hand is just filled with wolves, I mean, Ferocious Pup makes 2 big guys, and if you have the Anthem effect, she gets crazy, and Tulsamir makes a big guy. If you're able to stack all those extra wolves on top of playing her, the game gets out of hand quick.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I agree. She's not perfect.
I'm assuming this is a sideboard slot, like you pull this out a lot of times.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, we'll talk about sideboarding later.
Yep.
So then we've got 1 Vivian Arcbow Ranger. Worth noting on here is that her -3 is not fight. It just deals damage. It's one-sided, asymmetrical. What else do you like about this card?
I mean, it's just good. If I can play my Llanowar Elf or my Paradise Druid and I have a wolf out and I can get her on turn 4, she's powerful. Or turn 3, she just pumps our guys up. I love the bonus of removing a creature. That's great too. Her ultimate isn't great. I haven't seen myself use it a lot, but I can see it in a matchup where, I really need Shalai
something
right
from
now.
the sideboard. Yeah.
Right.
All right, then we've got 3 Vivian Champion of the Wilds. Now, I was watching, Garrison was streaming on Twitch using this deck.
Yep.
And every time he played Vivian, I felt like you actually just wanted the 4th one because it's so good.
Yeah, and she is really good, and I have taken note of that. I might be switching out. I'm going to test it a little bit, see if maybe running 4 of her and then 3 of Icon, because she also helps us search, but the best thing about her is it's not specific to wolves, so right. I can find Tulsamir, I can find Shalai.
Yep.
It's great. She gives us flash. And then that's the most important part about this deck is because once you have Nightpack Ambusher out, you want to play your creatures with flash.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So the reason that I felt like this was such a good card when I was watching Garrison stream with the deck was you would go to your end step, you would let your Nightpack Ambusher trigger, make your wolf, and then you would just play your creatures anyways.
Right.
So it allows you to just still play on your turn if you need to, which despite the YouTube comments, sometimes it is correct to play on your turn. But yeah, so it allows you, it opens up the ability where you don't have to just play on their turn because you want the wolf tokens.
Right.
And every time you played it, or every time Garrison played it, I guess, it just felt really good. And then obviously it refills your hand. pseudo refills your hand.
Well, and also her ability of giving a creature vigilance and reach is actually very important.
Yeah, because like you said, flyers are your weakness.
Oh, it's horrible. And to give a 4/4 flying and not flying, reach and vigilance is just crucial.
Yep. So I feel like it should be a 4 of. He's gonna test it, so maybe it becomes a reality or not. I don't know. So then we got 2 Prison Realm. Obviously, this is just like Planeswalker or a catch-all against creatures you can't deal with.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at the current meta of just standard in general, you either have to deal with some crazy Planeswalker or Planeswalkers or a crazy creature in creatures. So it's just nice to run one of those because maybe they're running a guy that's too big for your Rabid Bites. So you're really hoping for the Prison Realm here, and it gives you scry.
7/6 Dino is kind of a problem.
Oh, yeah. So being able to scry also really helps.
Yep. And like we said, there's not much removal outside of the fighting from, I guess, Tolsimir and Rabid Bite. So
right.
Then we got
beside note, you cannot fight Planeswalkers.
No, you can't. You cannot fight Planeswalkers, so you have to attack them.
Right.
Yeah. Then we got, real quick, we'll go through the lands. 10 forests. Had used the betas, of course.
Of course.
6 plains, 4 Sun Petal Groves, and 4 Temple Gardens. And of course, I grabbed all the artwork from Gatherer, and apparently they didn't use transparencies. So we've got white corners. And then we're going to the sideboard now. So, Amulet of Safekeeping. Why are you running this?
So, this is actually really interesting. I gotta stop touching the table. But as a lot of people know, that Garrison is running Scapeshift.
He is.
And, yeah.
Okay.
But the thing about that deck is yes, if he's making, or whatever, whoever's playing the deck, if they're making 16 zombies, yeah, it's still 16 damage. But if all they can do is make 4 zombies, make 5 zombies, they're in that slump of only being able to make 1 a turn. I would rather it be a 1/2 instead of a 2/2. Makes a huge difference.
And a lot of things can block a 1/2 profitably.
Exactly.
But not a 2/2.
And even our Ferocious Pup, if it has a counter, or it's getting a +1/+1, is a better blocker. And then we also have the hero decks that run off of...
oh, yeah, for sure. Hero Precinct 1.
Precinct...
I've played that a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 0/1 tokens don't do anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Saheeli decks, it's just...
over here. Yeah, against Saheeli, yep.
I mean, the other ability is nice, but I don't pay attention to that.
You probably should. It's on the card.
I mean, I guess.
All right, next card. 1 Ixalan's Binding. I assume this is for the Planeswalker matchups.
Yeah, I just... Like, if we're playing against Esper or just blue-white control, those Teferis are a pain. I mean...
They turn off your flash.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that deals with how my deck wants to run, I just go, okay, stop.
Yeah.
So.
And then we got 4 Crawl Harpooners, and this is just addressing that flyer problem.
Yeah, exactly. And because since we do play creature heavy, we can usually deal with any flyer that they put out there.
Yeah, you only need a couple of creatures to deal with most any of the flyers in the metagame.
Right.
And then we've got 1 Nissa Who Shakes the World. So why this card? It doesn't really... I mean, it's a good card.
Right.
It just doesn't seem to synergize with things.
So the reason that I picked her, it was a very interesting debate. There wasn't a lot of green cards that I really preferred. I was trying to look at why a card might be put in here, but in the control matchup, I realized that if we can go Nissa turn 4... That's a lot better because we get constant creatures out of it than just hoping I draw a creature. Okay. So Nissa's just a lot more pressure-based in our control matchup.
Okay. And they actually, they have to deal with a bunch of 3/3s.
Right.
And then we've got 1 Pulse of Marasa. This, I mean, I understand the card is good and what it does. It just seems a little weird to be a 1 of.
Yeah, so I've also been debating bumping this up as well.
Okay.
But at the same time, I haven't really used it. Because the main purpose of this card is if we're playing mono red.
Okay. I guess you do have to have a target for it, but you're really concerned about the life gain.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main reason that this card is in here is because, yeah, we have Tolsimir, but we have 2. Yeah. So if we throw in an extra card that might help us out in the late game, very, very beneficial.
And I suppose we actually haven't seen very much aggro...
Not here.
I mean, we had a couple of black-white aggro decks, but they were like Elias's life gain and Craig's budget. really just budget oriented.
Right.
All right, and then we have another Shalai just to shore up the flyer match and
make sure.
Yep. One Immortal Sun seems a little weird with so many Planeswalkers in your deck. Let's talk about this.
And we did discuss this one night.
We did, but we didn't for the channel.
Right, and so this is where we'll talk about it. The Immortal Sun, I love this card, actually. So I said that I love Night Pack Ambusher, but this card is actually my favorite.
Which way do we point? Oh, there it is.
The fact that Planeswalkers just get shut down is beautiful. I mean, just the way that this meta's run is like one Planeswalker can really just change the tide of the games. So having that ability to stop those Planeswalkers is great. But also, another problem with aggro decks, as most people know, is when you run out of your gas, there's nothing happening. So the ability to draw another card, and it costs less, amazing. But then we also have our Anthem. So
there's a lot of text on the card.
Right.
And worth noting is, yes, we're running Planeswalkers in this deck, but the static abilities still function.
Right.
So your creatures still have flash. I don't even know Arlen's. Oh, the Arlen is
counter.
The +1/+1 counter.
Yep. So typically, if we are just putting in Immortal Sun, we just take out Vivian.
The Arco.
The big Vivian.
Yep.
Big Vivian. Oh,
Arco Ranger.
Yeah. Sorry. But also, if we do have to take out more, usually this card will be put in for Esper.
Mm-hmm.
So typically we'll be taking out other cards as well, and I'm okay with taking out the Arlens. So.
All right, and then we've got 2 Thrashing Bees.
Yeah.
Artifact and enchantment removal on a body.
Right, and it's a big body.
Yeah, it's a very well-costed body.
Yeah, it hurts when you have to sack it, but the sacking for 1 at any instant is just, it's great.
And we've got 1 Ugin the Ineffable.
So
I like to call him Eugene. Just putting that out there.
Eugene is the preferable name.
Yep.
But the reason that this card is so good, Matt, let me tell you.
Why don't you tell me?
God's Willing is not great against this card.
God's Willing does precisely nothing against this card.
Yes.
Yep, that is true.
So against the Feather matchup, we bring this card in instantly. I mean, we don't even look at the sideboard, we just know. We grab it. Because it's -3, destroys target creature, but God's Willing has to pick a color.
Yep.
And a lot of the Feather decks have swayed away from playing Indestructible Spell because of God's Willing, because it gives it protection from colors. So we have the ability to get rid of their Feather or a District. So that's great. But then also, if we just need to make creatures, it's great for that too.
All right, and then I think this is the last card in the sideboard. 2 Veil of Summer. Should it be 4? I feel like it should be 4.
I honestly think so. I underestimated the power of this card. I
just didn't read the whole thing. I didn't realize that it gave you and permanence hexproof until I reread it a couple times.
Right.
This card is debatably the best card out of Corset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's already seeing play in a lot of other formats.
Pick up your foils, because
absolutely
they'll probably be worth something someday.
Well, and I don't remember if you heard me talking about this, but I thought it was funny because I saw a lot of articles talking about how this card was busted and now it's in every format. And I was like, well, this is just going to last for a week. But now that I'm actually playing it, I've realized...
It feels really good.
Yes. So,
and the fact that you get to draw a card, because you're probably putting it in against a blue or a black deck.
Oh,
I mean, you can put it against a red deck just to save things, but you're probably playing against blue and black, so it's a cantrip.
Right, exactly. So.
All right, so that's the last. So I guess we'll pull the list up. We didn't make a sideboard guide, but we can talk about certain matchups. So let's, I guess, start with mono red. What are you doing in mono red?
Oh, the mono red, we're just praying. We're sitting there and we're praying that our creatures can stay long enough. For example, our Llanowar Elves or our Paradise Druid stays long enough to where we can get the Talsimir out.
Okay.
We are perfectly fine with trading the Llanowar Elves and the Paradise Druids as long as we are taking less damage. Now, it gets into a tough spot if we have 2 lands and we have them out, but for the most part, we just need to stay alive.
So what are you taking out? You probably just lower your curve with, like, taking out Arlen, maybe?
Yeah, we take out Arlen. For this matchup, it's tough because we definitely go Pulse of Marasa.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the Thrashing Brontodons.
100%.
Because they block everything and they can kill the Frenzy.
Yeah, it's actually... that stops their Goblin Chain Whirler. Almost everything. Well, like you said, everything.
Yeah.
So, yep. Also,
I don't want to sideboard too much, so I think that's what I would leave it at, is those 3.
I agree.
And then you're probably taking out the 2 Arlens, maybe an Icon, because it's kind of like, it doesn't affect the board state necessarily. But you play with the deck, what would you pull out as your 3rd card?
No, I usually do pull out an extra icon,
Okay.
and that's why I love the flexibility of it being a 4 of. Is just because, 4 is great, but we can get rid of 1.
Yeah.
But also, it's worth noting, I forgot, a lot of red decks also run the Goblin. Not a lot of them, but they run it in the sideboard. At least I've seen.
Which one?
Makes a token, attacks each turn if able.
Oh, Cranko.
Yeah. So, we bring an Amulet of Safekeeping game 2 if we see that.
Is it...
I think it's...
Someone will tell us.
Yeah, someone will tell us in the comments, but...
So you like the Amulet for that matchup?
Right, if we win game 1, we see it game 2, we go, okay.
If there's a game 3, it's coming in.
Absolutely.
Yep. Alright, so then what's another deck? We got, let's Scape Shift. How are you sideboarding there? You just conceding game 2.
I mean, realistically, we just concede game 2.
Yeah,
no.
you put the Amulet in. Is that it?
Yes. I mean, it really is, though, because Amulet of Safekeeping is really the only... I mean, Ixalan's Binding for what? I mean, yeah. Crassus, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not really coming up with a really good approach there.
Right.
And then what's next deck? Esper's a big one. What are we doing against Esper?
Esper, we are definitely putting in our 2 Veil of Summers. We are considering the Immortal Sun. Shalai 100% goes in.
Binding?
Binding definitely goes in, and also we consider... Eugene? I actually don't...
Well, I guess not if you're running the Immortal Sun, because that doesn't do anything.
Right, it doesn't help with that. But I also consider Crawl Harpooners sometimes. Just because
for the Thief?
Thief of Sanity.
Most Esper lists aren't playing Thief now.
If we see it, though.
If we see it, sure.
Smack it down.
Nissa? Is Nissa good against the Esper?
And like I said, I will bring her in if it feels like this match is too grindy.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think if they're playing Hero Esper, it's just, she's not great. But once I do see, maybe even like Grixis.
Yeah.
Those decks that are just a little bit slower, I will definitely bring in Nissa.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, let's see, I'm trying to think of other decks in Standard. We don't see any Nexus here, luckily, because I unofficially banned Nexus.
Simic Flash.
Yeah, Simic Flash.
Simic Flash, 2 Veil of Summers come in. It depends on the version they're running, because I have seen a couple Simic Flashes run, like, unsummon.
Yes, a lot of them do.
Right, so Shalai's not bad to run in. Ixalan's Binding is great. We definitely bring that card in, because Nightpack Ambusher, great hit. Frilled Mystic, great hit. A lot of these targets are perfect. Or if they try to Deputy of Detention us, we just got none of that.
Yep. What else? I guess like mono white, black white vampires. I kind of lump all that in with the mono red matchup here.
Black white vampires is actually kind of tough because it's a race. It's a race.
Okay.
If they get their sweet turn 4 curve, I mean it's impossible to beat them. I mean for most decks, but if we can last into maybe turn 6, turn 7 with our Tulsamir out, they just can't beat us.
Okay.
And that's actually, if we compare it with all of the aggro decks, that's usually how this runs. Is as soon as we can get Tulsamir out, boom, game's over. Yeah.
Do you want to run a 3rd Tulsamir in the sideboard?
I've been debating it.
Okay.
Just because of how potent that card is.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know what I'd pull out, because that's tough.
I mean, maybe the Nissa, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll play with changes and
absolutely.
And we'll. I did put the deck list in Tapped Out, so if you head over to Tapped Out and look at it, I'll keep that updated with the changes he lets me know.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other. And there's tons of decks in Standard. I can't really think of any others to talk about because it's late and I'm brain dead.
That's fair. Right.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thanks for watching the Deck Tech, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
Absolutely.
All right. And then, gonna say, if you guys didn't catch the announcement, we did stream on Twitch tonight, so you can head over to Twitch. It's at LibertyMTG. Well, the ad isn't used on Twitch, but the username's LibertyMTG. Give us a follow. We're gonna try to hit Twitch affiliate so that we can make some funny emotes to use.
Okay, guys. Funny emotes.
Funny emotes.
Not funny.
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 Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.
See ya.